Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I'm here speaking with a friend of mine who I've known for Ted. How long I met you 20 years ago, I think, at least, right?
At least, yeah.
Yeah, we're
Well, I used
speaking.
I used to have black hair. As a matter of fact, I even had hair. I even had hair. Now I don't have hair, and not even black.
You used to have black hair, and so did I. And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, the great this is wisdom and knowledge and experience, right? Which means you're way more wise and knowledgeable and experienced than I
Oh,
am.
good. Oh, good. Now I feel good. Oh, good. Yeah. Good start to my day.
Ted, his business has always been fascinating to me. He's been, ever since I've known you, and even longer than that, you've been in the same business. But I have to be honest with you. I'm just being transparent. When I first heard about this, what you do, my reaction was, too good to be true. And I didn't, and because of that, like I really never looked into it until recently. So that's why I invited you on today to do a series of interviews. Um, you're in an unusual business. Most people don't know about it. I certainly didn't know about it, even when I found out about it. It just seemed, like I said, too good to be true. So I never really looked into it. And the type of returns that you're talking about your students are getting, it kind of blew my mind. I eventually had to look into it. It just sounded too good. So can you tell my people a little bit about your business, please?
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for the invitation. I'm glad to be here. And I'm Ted.Thomas, and for 35 years, I've been doing a business that's called tax lien certificates and tax defaulted property. So what is that all about? I'll give you some 1 minute versions. Dan and I plan to do 3 videos even after this. We'll make them about 10, 15 minutes. And you guys will learn a lot. If it's something you want to do later, we'll tell you how to do that. You don't have to spend any money. We're just going to give you a whole bunch of free stuff. And I think you'll like that. So I'm in the business of teaching people. And as I'm in first as an investor, but then I started teaching people how to buy tax lien certificates and tax defaulted properties. So what is that? Well, every property in the United States, I mean every property, office buildings, farms, ranches, single family homes, even residential vacant lots, they all have a property tax. All right. So like anything in life, everything doesn't go along perfectly. So the tax man sends a bill every year to those people. And if they don't pay their property tax, now the tax man is scratching their head. They say, wait a minute, the guy didn't pay the tax. So the tax man has to do something about that. So just like if you had a master charge or Visa in your pocket, when you pay the bill, you don't pay it right on time, you have to pay a little interest like a penalty. So what the tax man does to all of these properties, now there's over 100 million properties in the United States, there's 50 different states and 3,000 different counties. So the county is the one that collects property tax. So let me tell you why a county collects property tax. So your kids could go to school. So you could have a police department. So you could have firefighters and county employees to do all the administration. So the county, that's where they get their money, from property tax. So they're adamant. I mean, they will collect that property tax. As a matter of fact, they have the first lien on the property. So what the county will do is the county will send you a notice and say you didn't pay your tax. Now, that's not anything to worry about, but you do have to pay it. And then if you don't pay it, they'll send you another. So they'll send you numerous notices. And basically, they're slapping your hand and say, look, you got to pay your tax. So in half of the states in the United States, they're very benevolent. And what they'll do in those benevolent states, they will say, all right, you didn't pay your tax, so we're going to issue a tax lien certificate. Now, that's not something horrible. A tax lien certificate is a piece of paper, just like I'm holding up, just a piece of paper like this. All right, now that piece of paper said, all right, this is issued against that property, but the county still hasn't got paid. So then what the county will do is the county will put a notice in a newspaper like this one, or they'll do it online. They will put an ad in the newspaper that says, this certificate number is for sale, and meaning for sale. They will actually sell the taxes on your house to somebody else. So I could buy the taxes. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, I want to do that because when you do come in to pay, you're going to have to pay your taxes. Well, you already knew that. But now the penalty which could be 16% like in Arizona, could be 18% in Florida, could be 24% in Iowa, all right, I'm going to get the 16 or 24% interest. Well, think about that. If I put my money in the bank, I'm going to get 1 or 2%, 1 or 2% at the bank. Some CDs are paying 4%. So I'm also going to make it a bank is 4%. But if I pay your tax and I'm in Iowa and you're in Iowa, I could make up to 24% of my money. Wow. I'll do that every day of the week. So tax certificates are called a predictable, certain, and secure investment. Now, what does that mean? That means whatever interest rate I bid, I get that interest rate. So that's predictable. Is it certain? Yes, because I'm going to get it from the government. Your money is protected. You didn't give me any money. I bought the certificate. You gave your money to the county, so it's protected by the property tax code. That's exactly what you want. You want predictable money, and you want it. You want it certain. All right, now here's the best part of it. It's secured. Now, when I tell you what I'm going to tell you now, you're going to go into shock. If the person doesn't pay their property tax, I'm going to get the property. I'm going to get the property. So a tax certificate, if you raise your hand like this and buy one, and there's thousands of these. Let me show you how many thousands there are. This is a newspaper from Tampa. It's got nothing but tax certificates issued in it. These are all the numbers of certificates. 40,000 certificates the day they printed it. It's just in Tampa. Florida will have 100,000 certificates every May. Iowa, every county in the state, there's 100 counties in the state, all sell tax certificates. Arizona, so half of the states in the United States sell tax lien certificates. This is an ongoing business. Every word I just said is 200 years old. They've been doing this for 200 years. So I learned about it 30 years ago. I said, why don't I just make my money predictable, certain, and secure? Pretty good dough, right? The other half of the states will sell tax defaulted property. And give us a couple of minutes. We'll tell you about that too.
So I made a list of questions that I have, and I think they're questions that like my subscribers would have too. Can you tell me more about like how the tax lien certificates work? I understand what you just said, like the overview, but if I buy a tax lien certificate, what happens? Like, when do I get my return on investment? How does it come? Can you just tell me more about that?
Sure. So every county in the United States is allowed to sell the taxes, okay? Or they will confiscate the property. So figure that there's going to be at least 1,500 counties that you could do this in of the 3,000 counties. So you could buy in any one of these counties. So you just raise your hand at the auction, but nowadays they do it online. So you can just go online, clickety-click like this. There's a certificate I want to buy, and whatever amount, let's say you want one for 10,000, 5,000, 2,000, or you want to buy multiple certificates, you type in the number. Every property has a social security number, all right? They call it a property ID number. You and I call it a social security number. So the ID number is listed in the paper. You buy that number, you give your money, you send your money to the county, you do it online, you just use a credit card in some cases, but you do the money online, you send them the money. Then what they do is they send you back a certificate. It looks like this piece of paper. If you don't want the piece of paper, you just have the number, that's fine. You gave your money to the county. Now the county just wants your money so they can pay the police, the fire department, county employees. So your money's safe, it's secure, it's at the county. Now that person is getting notices to pay their tax. If they don't pay their tax, you're going to end up with their property. So it's a predictable, certain, secure investment. I always say PCS, predictable, certain, and secure. Nice investment. Pretty tough to lose money if you give it to the county.
So that brings up another question, which you had mentioned previously. Tell me more about tax defaulted properties. What if I buy the tax lien certificate and the property owner never pays their taxes? They just totally default.
Okay, good. All right. So I said half of the states sell tax lien certificates. All of the states ultimately sell tax defaulted property. So let's say that you live in a state that doesn't sell tax lien certificates, or you want to buy in a state that doesn't. All right, so the property owner didn't pay the tax. So the county will send them a notice, and then they'll send them 2 or 3 notice. And if they ignore them and don't pay them, the county then is authorized to confiscate. Now, confiscate means take it away. So they'll go and they can't actually pick their property up and put it in a pickup truck and take it. So they confiscate the property legally, and they push the tenant or the property owner off the property. Then what they do with the property, the county does not want that property. They don't want it. So what they do is then they have an auction. Okay, they're going to auction that property, and they're going to start the auction not at the value. Let's say the value is 100,000. The auction isn't going to start at 1,000. It's going to start at the back taxes. Now I'm just picking up a book. This happens to be an auction list from Los Angeles, California. This is an auction list. I'll show you another one. This one has over 1,000 properties in Los Angeles, one of the wealthiest places in the world. Okay, these are all properties that have a starting bid of less than 20 cents on the dollar. You can buy those properties for 5, 10, and 20 cents on the dollar. But here's the best part: when you buy it, the treasurer of the county has wiped out the mortgage, has deleted the mortgage, or the deed of trust loan is deleted. So you're buying mortgage-free property for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar. I've been teaching people how to do that for 30 years. You can do it online with your computer, or you can actually go to the auction. You can do either one. And those properties, this is just, I showed you a big one. This is a big auction in Los Angeles County. Some places like counties in Georgia might only have 20 or 30 properties. Here in Florida, a place like Miami will have a couple of hundred properties. Houston, Texas, they have an auction every month. They'll have 100 to 150 properties every month. People didn't pay their taxes. The county doesn't want them, so they put them out there. Anybody can bid. All right, the highest bidder gets the property.
Interesting. So is the government taking someone's house away from them then, for all intents and purposes?
What the government has done, it's the law of the United States. They've said, we will grant everyone that wants to own property, we will give you the privilege of owning the property. Now, we're giving you, Dan, or whoever's watching me, we're giving you the privilege to own that property. However, to maintain the privilege, you must pay taxes. So if you don't pay your property tax, you've lost your privilege. So they would take the property away. But with a tax lien certificate, if you buy a tax lien certificate, they don't move anybody off. Those people stay in the property, and you just have to wait to get paid.
Oh, okay.
Tax lien certificate doesn't push anybody off a property.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that. I told you the thing that really held me back from even looking into this was the too good to be true thing. But in addition to that, this is the result of making decisions based on 99% ignorance, right? Like, I didn't know what I didn't know. But I'm just being transparent with you. Another thing that held me back was, I heard you talk about the auctions, and I thought, man, I'm gonna have to travel to all these different counties, attend an auction. I don't, I just thought, I don't want to do that. But now you're saying this can be done online these days.
Absolutely. I have people that have graduated my course that live in Salt Lake City that have done more than 20 property purchases in Michigan, which is two days away in a car, that have bought properties in Michigan and resold them. Michigan is a state that sells the property. They're a tax defaulted state. So in Michigan, if you didn't pay the tax, they advertise the property for sale. He buys them for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and then he sometimes fixes them. Most of the time, he just cleans them up and resells them. And he never goes to that state. He does it all online.
All online. So
Yes.
It can't be much more convenient than that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good.
Is this, I mean, the way you're describing it makes sense to me, and it seems simple, but is this complicated? Is there something I'm missing, or is there something more complicated about all this?
Well, what's complicated about it is people don't understand their own government in their own county. They don't understand that some places have townships and counties and whatever that are jurisdictions that have to sell these properties or they wouldn't get any money. And so this has been going on for 200 years, but you can't find a college course or a high school course that teaches people about it. I actually have created books which I give my clients, 300-page books that teach people all the government offices that are in their own county. It's absolutely amazing. So a tax lien certificate is such a simple one. I'm going to just show you in a second here. I'm going to just show you a couple came to my event and they just said, Ted, we don't want to travel like you just said, and we don't think we should buy property right away because we don't have any real estate experience, just a young couple. And I said, well, why don't you buy tax liens because you live in Arizona? So they bought a tax lien certificate in Arizona. If you have a pencil, folks, write this down, but I'm going to show it to you on video too. Okay, they paid $11,000 for a tax certificate. Arizona pays 16%. So they figured, should they put it in the bank or should they get 16%? The banks paid 2%, they could get 16. So they bought a tax certificate. But then the people didn't pay the tax. So they paid the tax certificate the next year. All right. So then they did that 2 years in a row. And finally, they can only be in default 3 years. The government said, these people aren't paying the tax. So the judge awarded them the property. So if you don't get paid on a tax certificate, you get the property. Well, it turned out the property was a nice condominium on a lake. They did what I told them, don't buy anything without looking at it. So we went out there and looked at it. It was a beautiful condominium on a lake. Watch this video, you'll be shocked.
This is life-changing. This is something that really is something you can do 10 to 12 hours a week. You can do maybe even less than that, depending on your knowledge of that particular market or that system. This is an opportunity where you can earn more than you would at a job in a matter of days, in a matter of weeks. There's not that demand for you to fit societal pressures of getting dressed in the morning and making yourself up. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's a lot of work for women to have to also put on makeup and have to wear a certain outfit. You know, this is stuff you can do from your pajamas if you want. It's a lot easier than you think. It's not so scary once you know, okay, you can just ask these questions. And yeah. We turned to Ted, we turned to all his education, we turned to the coaching staff to get the questions we have answered because they're experts.
This particular property was a very nice property, and in our opinion, nice enough to actually live in. We were in it total for $11,000.
Both of those. And we rented that at $1,225 for 15 months.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we collected all the money back from our initial investment and more.
And more.
And then after holding it as a rental for some time, then we decided, okay, the property is appreciating so quickly.
Yeah.
Phoenix was really hot. We ended up selling the property, and the sales price was?
We had a contracted sales price of $184,000, and $169,000 hit our bank account.
Well, there you have it, folks. What did he say? He said he made $169,000 after he got his original $11,000 back. He had $11,000 investment. He got it back. He made another $169,000. Now, I'm not telling you that it's going to happen at every one, but that shows you exactly what happens if someone doesn't pay on a tax certificate. So he would have got on his $11,000, he would have got 16%, but he didn't get the 16. He got the property, and he didn't have a lot of experience in selling the property. So he called up Zillow, said, can you sell my property? And that's exactly what they did. You heard the two of them, the two young couple, having kids. They didn't want to get involved in doing real estate. That's how easy it was. Everybody can do the same thing. Folks, I'm trying to keep these videos to about 15 minutes or so. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to do 4 of these. We hope you'll come to all 4. We'll send you an email. All right. It's not going to lead to a $2,000 or $10,000 sale. What it's going to lead to is if you like what you're seeing, we're going to tell you twice every month, I do an all-day class. The class costs $47. The most commitment you're going to make after watching all these videos is $47. So give us a minute. We'll come right back.